there, or 3,000 is just quite incredible how enthusiastic you all are. I really applaud you for it. Everybody thinks I'm a car man, but really, I was really only interested in racing. I love cars and I like nice cars, but my main focus was to race, and that was my main raison d'etre. So I haven't got any collection of cars. In fact, I haven't got any cars, and so it's interesting to come to a place like this where everybody's got 3 or 4 Austin Healey's, and they work on them day and night. I put the tires on my cars. However, when I was a kid, I had a motorbike, I had a Triumph Speed Twin, and we used to go every Saturday as teenagers. We used to go to this hotel, which had a lovely bar, and I had all these wealthy friends, and they had an MGA twin cam, and of course, Tony McClellan had a wonderful Austin Healey 3000, and they would all arrive and park in the car park and go to the bar, and I'd arrive on my 10-year-old Triumph Speed Twin and stumbled it after them. So yeah, that was an early acquaintance with an Austin Healey 3000. And of course, funny enough, when I grew up, my parents lived very close to where Don Healey and his family lived. In fact, my prep school was right opposite their home. And as years progressed, and this is when I was a little boy, as I grew up, I got to know Dick and Jeff Healey quite well, and we used to go drinking at the Reindeer pub in Warwick, which was about a 15th century pub, and with Jeff was particularly keen on his pints, so I did know the Healey family a little bit. But I raced first of all in my mum's Morris Oxford, and I have to preface everything with the fact that my dad had invented an automatic gearbox back in Australia, where he came from. And it was very advanced for its day because it had 4 speeds, and you could either put it in automatic or you could override every gear. He had a beautiful episode of gear training, it was hydraulically controlled, and it was a fantastic gear. Unfortunately, it never got taken up. And so my first race was my mum's Morris Oxford at Snetterton, which in those days from Leamington Spa was about a 3-hour drive. So I went with my school friend Tony, and I got there, and the scrutineers, or the tech inspectors in USA, said straight away, "Well, your saloon car sedan has got an automatic gearbox. It's not homologated with an automatic gearbox. We're going to put you in the sports car class." So then I'm on this whacked out old Morris Oxford, 10 years old, and now up against SK120s, low salutes, Austin Healey's. Just needless to say, I'm dragging around the back, and it blew up again. Well, obviously, couldn't fix it again. So somebody, I just can't remember who, somebody towed me home on the end of a tow road. And then, funny enough, a few weeks later, I drove down to Goodwood, where they still have the revival, which was like a couple of weekends ago. If anybody has not been to the revival at Goodwood, I strongly suggest and suggest you go. It is a fantastic event. So I go down to Goodwood. I'm going to be observed by all these people in the RAC so that I can get an advanced license, so I can do national races. And anyway, it blew up again. My friend Bill Finley had a red Healey Silverstone, a bit like Mike Cornelis, well, exactly like Mike Cornelis. And he'd been there doing his laps as well. So we hooked the tow rope onto the Healey and the Morris, and we towed it back from Goodwood to Leamington, which was about 130 miles. All little roads, no motorways in those days. And the road got shorter and shorter. Luckily, Bill was a farmer, so he always had something. He had everything. He had a tow rope in the back. How he had the tow rope in the back of a Healey Silverstone, God knows what he did. So he towed me home. Because by the time we got to Banbury, he was pissed off. So I turned my headlights off, and I'm just using his headlights. Because by now, the road was about 1 easy to. And we somehow got from Banbury to Leamington at about 20 minutes, which was a pretty good time, just on your own, let alone on the other road. So, that was one of my introductions to Healey, was the end of a tow room, and Bill was driving like Bill was a terrific driver. And he loved that sort of stuff, and he went on to Lotus 11 and some other stuff. But, so I raced Mum's Morris, and I actually won a prize at a sprint, I guess a drag race. Somehow, I won it. So my first car is still at home, and it's about the same size as that Conclave, and it's first place in the sprint. So the next year, I really lost after driving Dad had a Jaguar SK 140 drop-head coupe, which is a beautiful car, XL blue, and it had that lovely soft top with all the lining inside and the wood caps on the doors and the wooden dashboard. Really cool car. So I decided fall when trying to drive this car, and it was in 1960. Unfortunately, I really had no idea about techniques of racing or what you have to have. This car still had Michelin X tires on it. So I'm racing against a whole bunch of other E-types and XKs, where of course I'm floundering around the back. And on the last lap I managed to overturn it at Old Hall Corner at Oldham Park. Well, it didn't do it a lot of good, but luckily, my girlfriend at the time, who's still my wife 70 years later, we set off home in this damaged car. Well, of course, somehow I omitted to just check that the hood was properly down, having been on this route. Well, the hood opened to disaster factor. So she took the bra off, because in those days, they didn't wear bras, and we tied the hood down. And we got home, and I said to Dad, I called Dad from the circuit and said, there's been a bit of a problem with your tires. He said, of course, Dad came from Australia, and he said, yeah, I saw that, son. He said, you broke it, you fix it. So, I was an apprentice there at Daimler. And old Joe was a little Irishman who worked at the body shop. Anyway, I took it to his house in Daventry, and he bashed out the wings, and we put it back together, a new hood, and he repaired it. And unfortunately, when it came to respraying it, he had to do it after work. And this was about May, and May in England is a lovely month, but you know, the nights get a bit chilly. And of course, Joe gets home at about 5:30, so he sprays his car at about 6:30, 7 o'clock. And it came out a beautiful matte finish. It was still XL blue, it was matte. Very matte. Not like today's modern, where they have all these matte cars. This was matte, and it was also rough, it was about like sandpaper. But anyway, I then became a Jaguar apprentice because Daimler went under, and Jaguar bought them. So now I'm a Jaguar apprentice. So now I have access to Jaguar parts. So I got some disc brakes. I put disc brakes on it. I got some triple carburetor ahead. And it was put down. Of course, I finally saw the light. And then when I was Fort Donald in Birmingham, got myself some Donald racing tires, and I raced that. It was relatively successful. In the meantime, and that was also with the automatic gearbox. And in the meantime, Dad had sold some shares to Westinghouse Brake and Signal, and they thought it would be a really good idea for me to race a car to promote the gearbox. So we bought a Lotus Elite, and that was a very successful car, also with Dad's automatic. And we raced that car, and I had 14 wins out of 18 starts, including the Nürburgring 1,000 kilometers. And my friend Bill, Healey Sawston, he was my co-driver. So the week before, I'd been racing at Brands Hatch, and a guy called Les Lester, who was quite a hero in England. And Les had said to me, "You race with an automatic gearbox, mate?" He said, "You must be bloody mad." He said, "No, those are the automatic gearboxes, don't work, they're bloody useless." So I beat him in the race, obviously. And the next week, we arrived at Nürburgring, and I'm in the paddock. And they'll Achtung, Fahrerlager, Herr Hobbs comes to the office with a gun clogs. What the hell now? So anyway, I got to the office, and the people in there said, Yeah, obviously I would. Do you have an automatic retriever? Yes. Well, you'll go on harmonic with an automatic retriever. So, instead of running in the 1100cc GT class, we're going to put you in the 1600cc sports car class, which has got all those RSKs, which are quick cars. Luckily, there weren't many of them. Towards the end of the race, the one that was leading the class spun off, and we won the 1600cc class. Well, the Germans, being very methodical, had a prize structure that was based very much on overall and size and class. So winning the 1600cc sports car class was about 5 times the money as winning the GT class for the guys. So, what all that. Anyway, at 61, I raced it a lot and had a really good year. And then, towards the end of the year, Mr. Barker, Harold Barker, who was the apprentice supervisor, called me into his office. And he said, Hobbs, you are absolutely the worst apprentice we've ever had. I've been an apprentice supervisor at a number of manufacturers, and you are, without doubt, the worst. He said, I don't know what you're going to do with your life, but you're obviously not going to make anything, you're not going to do anything, you're going to be wasted, you're going to be homeless, and blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much, Mr. Barker. Really kind of thank you very much. I'll back down the office. Now, in the meantime, off in England, who had been the team manager of Jaguar when they won Le Mans 55, 56, had now become managing director of Jaguar. And luckily for me, Lofty was a fan of mine. He liked my racing, and he liked the way I raced the Jaguar. He didn't like the look of it much, but he liked the way I raced it. And so, a few days after Mr. Barker called me into his office, told me I'm the worst apprentice they've ever had. Lofty called me up from the experimental department where I'm working. And the experimental department boss comes out and says, hey, Hobbs, just swing across the street. So I go up and see Lofty. And he said, Hobbs, he said, we have the experimentally EX2. Which is like a cross between the D-type and an E-type, which they only had one of, and it had already done some racing. And he said, I want you to test it at Silverstone. Will that be alright? That'll be alright, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. Anyway, I'm walking through the head office. Are you hearing this behind the bar? I'm hearing walking through the head office. And I'm with Lofty, who's the managing director. Bill Haynes, who's the engineer, Wally Hassel is the chief engineer, and Mike anyway, the competition man. So I'm walking through the main office, and we walk right by Mr. Barker's office. So I say, Mr. Barker, still here. That was a great moment for me. Obviously didn't deserve it, but that was a great moment. But I was the worst apprentice, I don't know about that. So, we went to Silverstone, and Mike Parks, you remember Mike Parks, right? He was looking after me with his girlfriend, who is still alive, and she worked for Enzo. When Michael went to Ferrari, she went with him. She was Enzo's personal secretary forever, and she is still around. I just can't think of the name, but she was a very vibrant young girl. And anyway, I'm driving to Silverstone, this car, good at Silverstone. In the old days, when Apple was just a very long left-hand sweeper, through which, of course, I spun. And flat spotted all the tyres. There were no spare tyres, so we went back to the factory. But it was still good to see Mr. Barker's face when I dropped by all the top guy. So Lofty was a huge help to me. My apprenticeship ended in 1961. I got married at the end of 1961. And Lofty got me to drive a guy called Peter Berry, who was a chicken farmer. And he had a couple of Jags, 3.8 Mark II and an E-type, which Bruce McLaren had driven in 1961. In 1962, Bruce went off to do his own thing. So Peter Berry asked me to drive his cars. And that was the first start of my professional career. And our first race was the Daytona 3-hour, which was a brand new race, it's on a continental 3-hour. And I rode that. In the meantime, Colin Chapman from Lotus had been very impressed with me winning all those races in the elite. So he rang us up and said, look, there's a new race in America, the Continental 3-hour at Daytona. Can we borrow your Lotus for Jimmy Clark's drive? Because I wanted to assess how the gearbox worked. So we both went over to America. And somebody was saying today, we're paying an artist to drive from New York. Because in those days you could only fly to New York, you couldn't fly to Atlanta. So we were in New York, and we all drove down in our rental car, me and Jimmy and Peter Berry. And we got stopped about 10 times between New York and Daytona. Because it was Route 1 then, it wasn't I-95. And Jimmy said, I'm getting fed up putting my hands on the roof while it's risky. And I shared a room with Jimmy. And he had become my new hero, because my hero after that had been Sterling Moss. But Jimmy beat Sterling in a couple of Formula 1 races in South Africa in what was the Springboks, just prior to February when we went to Daytona. So I was looking at Jimmy with new eyes. We shared a room. And we were there about a week. And he just about died laughing. Some guy was driving this Corvette on sand. Because in those days, well, he still kept driving on the beach. And this guy got just a bit too close to the ocean, which snagged his car. And old Jimmy Watts was absolutely helpless with laughter as this guy's car got dragged out. It didn't seem that funny to me, he was hysterical. So 62, unfortunately, halfway through the year, Peter Berry lost interest in racing to the private flying instead. And that year I went to last by Lotus to go to Le Mans, those not my Lotus, their Lotus. And Frank Gardner was also on strike. He and I won the class and became 8th overall and first British car home. And that sort of got my career really going. And earlier that year I'd driven in back at Nürburgring with Richard Atwood. And Richard said, well, I'll drive your car then. Later on in the year you can drive my Formula Junior. So I drove his Formula Junior at Old Park in August. And it was my first ever open wheel ride. I was only doing months my slots with the Giant of the League. And I drove open wheel. And all the pundits said, well, there's Keith Francis here and Pete Arundel and this you might get us up 4 or 5. Well, of course, I won it. My first ever wheel race. So that really opened the floodgates, I guess, to racing. And at the end of 63, my dad's company went bust. And on the floor at the factory where we closed it down was a Formula 1 automatic gearbox with Colin Chapman for Lotus. So that just shows you how far ahead of the curve Colin was. Now they're all about it. So I first came to Road America in 1964, also in the Lotus 14. I'm not sure where I finished, or even if I finished. And that was my first introduction to Road America. So I came back in 1969 to drive in Formula 5000 race. And I came back every year from 1969 to 1986. They sponsored on twice a year to race. Then Formula 5000, Can-Am, and Trans Am. And luckily I won in all of those categories at least once. I won the Dutch 500 twice, once in the BMW 320, and once in the Porsche 956, 962, 935 with John Fitzpatrick. And and then around about that time, because soon after that, a guy called Rod Campbell, who was a tremendous public relations guy. We were doing the L&M Formula 5000 championship. And Rod said to me, he used me and Sam Posey exclusively to PR these races. And he took us everywhere. We'd go to Lagoon Sea, we'd go to Sacramento, we'd go to Riverside, we'd go all over the place, do radio, TV. And of course, when you go to the papers or the radio station, in those days, nobody had ever heard of what's Formula 5000. So newspaper or a radio station or a TV station, they say, oh, you've done the Indy 500, mostly you are a operator, right? It's important to find out about operator. So that's how Sam and I got to know each other, and we're still very close to this day. Sam has unfortunately got Parkinson's at a long time. So we had 4,500 in Canada, in Trans Am, in America, and then in 1975, Ken Squire, who was the lead announcer at CBS Sports, said to me, why don't you come see the CBS guy, because Brendan Hill was going to be his color man in 1976, because he got killed in a plane crash. So I went to see Clarence Cross, who was Vice President of Sports at CBS. And had the most embarrassing interview you can imagine, because he was a bit like all these guys on TV stations. He really didn't know anything. I said, well, I'm 45,000 champion. What's 45,000? Well, it's like Formula 1. It's not Formula 1. And then I done some Can-Am, what's Can-Am? Sweat pouring down my back. And finally he says to me, well, thank you very much, David. It was very nice to see you. If ever there was a good contact, he's brilliant. So again, I said, how do we go? I said, I'll see what that is. Ironically, well, luckily, this is about, so in January of '76, I'm going to drive the BMW 3 CSL, 3.5 CSL, with Benny Parsons, NASCAR driver, because I had got to go to the college sponsor, and in return, I was going to drive his backup car in the Daytona partner. So I went to Daytona, and Ken Squire had been pushing CBS to do NASCAR, not bother with India, not bother with Formula 1. He said NASCAR is where it's at, NASCAR is it. So finally, Clarence Cross comes down to us in 1976, 500. Well, I had done the 24-hour with Benny, and I just waited there for 2 years to get back to him, because I didn't get back to him, I just waited. And Ken Squire had a radio show every night with the Hawaiian Inn, which was a dreadful dump on the beach, and they do all this firing and all that bullshit. Anyway, so he said, do you want to be on the show? So I said, sure. So I had about 3 hours. So I was right on top of the camp, and Clarence Cross and his wife. So Ken and I had a 10-minute hysterical presentation, all these NASCAR drivers, Richard Petty, Ken Yarborough, Leroy Yarborough, they're all there laughing. And Clarence said, oh well, I guess I'll see you for starting now to that interview. And I said, thank God for that. And he said, well, we'll keep in touch. So I did keep in touch. And eventually, at the end of 1976, I did the podium 500 Indigo race with Ken. And I never missed a CBS broadcast from that race in 1976 until I left at the end of 1995. So I had a good career with them, and of course, in that career was about the first NASCAR race they did in '79 when they did 500 flag to flag. And luckily for CBS and luckily for NASCAR, there was a huge snowstorm over the northeast and the central states, and about 8 million people watched this race. They thought about 400,000 were watching it. So there were about 8 million people. Bill France, who was Bill France, who was that time people, was the boss of NASCAR today. So he said, well, I don't know whether this is going to work really. And so that became, just put NASCAR right on the map. They've been there ever since. I don't know what they paid CBS for the broadcast, probably about 200,000, maybe 300,000. They just signed new deals with Fox and NBC for 10 years. It's about $10 billion. So I guess that's not pretty happy with the TV. Anyway, you're all standing up, there's a lot of noise going on in the background, you're all
apprenticeship. You didn't tell me. The Jaguar.
I was an apprentice. I was a David engineering fence at Jaguar, and then at David. They were both hopeless.
The machine shop apprenticeship.
Everything. Machine shop to drive.
When did you first race in Australia, and was your dad impressed?
Well, I raced in Australia in 1972. I did the Tasman. So we went to New Zealand first, then we came to Australia. We went to Brisbane, Surfers Paradise, went to Healey Farm in Sydney. And our final race was in Adelaide, which was my mum and dad's hometown. I was staying with my auntie Ethel by the end of the 70s. Me and my mechanic were staying with her. I won the race. So when we get back to the house, I said, hey, Auntie Ethel, we won the race. We won the race. She said, well, Dave, I had the whole idea.
So you said you really didn't care about cars so much, you just wanted to race. What was your favorite type of racing? Open wheels, sedans?
Well, I did a lot of sports. I did a lot of racing. I did 20. I did Le Mans 20 times. I have a record of the person who did the most time I did racing really. Although I didn't win the class twice, and I came third twice. But I love Le Mans. Very high speed, and a single seater gives you something, a feeling that you can never get in any other sort of race car. The wheels are right there. This is it. It's you are part of the car. Which in a sports car or a sedan, you never quite feel like that symbiotic relation between you and the car.
What was the first time you drove Nürburgring? What did you think? What was your impression?
Well, the first thing when we got there with the elite was it takes about 10 minutes, it was 10 or 12 minutes to get around. So you have a 4-hour practice session. It's too long. You get about 3 laps each. But the thing I knew there was 175 corners, but I didn't know it was so hilly. So every corner is either going uphill, going downhill, or up a hill, or whatever. So it's a pretty impressive place. I got to learn it really pretty quickly. I raced it twice in the league, and the next time I went back was another G70, and of course that changed the whole thing completely. Everything had been planned out before, people in for the downshift or whatever. So obviously it's a fantastic track, probably my favourite ever track.
Did you race at Conclave Army?
I won the car army night out in 1960. So yes, I did race the car. Oh yeah, I love car army. Those South Africans in those days were so big. I love the guys and so amazing enthusiastic about games. The South Africans were just so soft with racing, they absolutely loved it. We had parties galore. Jesus, they really got into it. They liked their racing. Doug Scoria and Jackie Pretorius. Hearing Jackie Pretorius tell Williams Wordsworth the daffodil, dancing daffodils, the daffodils poem of Wordsworth. Jackie Pretorius knew it word for word. But Jackie Pretorius had an incredibly guttural South African accent. He's talking about these Kelvin Devils dancing in the beats. Incredible. So we had a lot of fun. I went there 3 or 4 times. I loved it. I love races. Racing Killarney. We won in Killarney. We won in Durban. We won in Bulawayo. We won in North Bulawayo. We won in so I like that. What did you? I raced on there. I was on the front row of 1,000 really cool.